got Top Talkers, 2 interesting topics that I want to get to. I'll introduce the panel. Steve Lloyd joining us from the Team 1200. We also have Cody Jeffries joining us from Magic, and Carson joining us from 93 from Bob. All right, we're kind of tossing up which one we want to go to first. Are you guys handy? Do you like to do DIY? Okay, so let's give you the article right now. When it comes to do-it-yourself home improvement, researchers find that men whose professions afford them the skills to handily fix a sink or renovate the living room are actually least likely to embrace such tasks, likening it to an extension of them being on the job site. Knowledge workers, by contrast, tend to lack the aptitude for DIY projects, but nevertheless revel in it as a way of channeling their inner suburban craftsmen and demonstrating how manly they can be. When's the last project you tackled?
Well, I ripped apart 2 washrooms.
Put them back together?
No.
No.
See, that's my kind of rule with myself. I like to tackle a few things and try things, but I try to know my limitations before I even begin. I will tear it apart, I'll rent the bin, I'll put it in the driveway, and I'll rip it apart and I'll put it there. But
know your limit, play within
know my limit, and play within it exactly. So that's probably the biggest thing, you know, yard work, like patio stuff, and, you know.
Do you feel more manly doing it?
No, just tired.
All right, how about you?
I'm more into destruction rather than construction, because normally everything that I try to put together I end up kind of breaking. I'll use the wrong screw. I try to put together a coffee table from IKEA once, and I used the wrong screw, and the screw went through the top of the table, and so I had to deal with that afterwards. And actually, the good thing, I put together a tricycle on Easter Sunday, and it's still up and running. So that's pretty good, and I felt good afterwards. Yeah. You know, I gave myself a little clap and a pat on the back, and I was okay.
No visit Chio for the kid?
Okay.
Or him.
Iodine, nothing but iodine. But no, I'm like the least handy person that you'll ever, like, if you're building something, I'll tell you who you can call to help, but you don't call me.
But it's not like you feel because you're using your intellect, you're using your minds on your job, your personalities, that it's something you feel will bring you back towards that feeling manly aspect
I
outside
think it
of the
depends
job.
on the project. You know, I mean, if you're doing a big project and there's multiple people there and you're helping out and you're doing the right things and you're following the right orders, then I guess you get that feel. I like the sense of accomplishment when it's done. And I guess as a guy, yeah, I guess, you know, you feel, yeah, I built this. Yeah. You know, if you build a fire when you go camping, same thing. I build fire. Men create
Cody,
fire.
what's your thought on this?
I don't know. I think Keith and I are pretty equal around the house. He does do a lot of the work, and he'll probably say, yeah, I do a lot more of the work, but I mean, I helped build the deck out back because it was a lot of fun. You know, I think it's good for women to get involved too, but, you know, I don't know. Keith does a job where he's customer service, and
So he's not in a labor force throughout the course of the day, because I can understand for them coming home after being on a construction site or doing things to have to come home and do the checklist.
Yeah, it's like
they want nothing to do with it. Absolutely.
Well, I mean, you guys do a lot of cooking segments here, and I'm sure that, you know, the folks that work in that industry and their chefs and their cooks, when they get home, they don't want to cook anything. You know, like yeah. Give it the thumbs up.
We're getting a little thumbs up from them.
when you go home?
No, well, I think my wife wishes that I wouldn't.
I still watch a lot of sports at home, though. Yeah, there you go.
You can't take
So
that away
it's the
from me.
continuation. Now, you know, you talk about being at home and being with your partner. There's an interesting article and something that was talked about by a Princeton alumni, and this is just recently out. This is now into the Globe and Mail. NABA husband before graduating, Princeton mom advises. So this was a letter written by Susan Panton, who is actually a Princeton alum, one of the first female alums to come through, and she's now giving advice to Princeton graduates, saying this is the best time for you to be at school and find your husband while you're there. They have the intellect, they have what you'd be looking for rather than being in the outside world. So this is creating quite some controversy between the students at Princeton and then, of course, other universities as well.
Yeah.
Would you want your daughter being sent off to university thinking, go study but also find a husband?
Well, I think that's kind of, I don't know if it's unspoken, but like when you know, young people reach that age and you go away, there's always that chance it happens. I don't know if it needs to be, you know, broken down like that. And just, if it happens, it happens, but
I think it's
but the
contradictory.
caliber is what she's saying is you're at Princeton. The caliber of the men you're going to be are the men that you're going to want to. The intellect is there.
Well,
that's what she's saying.
A lot of these guys that get out of Princeton, they get these high banker jobs and, you know, Wall Street real estate. And we've all seen the movie Wall Street. We know what they do with their downtime. I think when you go to college, there's a reason why the saying is, it was a phase that I went through in college. And I think nowadays, with people having different lifestyles, I don't think that the onus is on finding a husband when you're in college. I think the onus should be on, you know, getting your education, getting out in the world, and then finding the person that, yeah, exactly, through experience and finding the person who's
And
right
if that experience happens along the way, fine. If it doesn't, fine.
move on, yeah.
What would you think as a Princeton spokesperson seeing an article like this coming through? I mean, the university has to respond to something like
Was
this.
it 1950?
I was gonna say, it's like so old
It's
school.
2013. It's true. I mean, there are aspects of the old school way of looking at things that may work, but there's a lot of aspects that don't work anymore. And I think people, they get bogged down too much on what they're going to be doing after college rather than just focusing in on what they're doing at college.
The likelihood right now, though, is that they're going to be graduating. It's very hard to find a job within their industry. A lot of them are then maybe moving back home. We're seeing people getting married later on. We're seeing people having children later on. I mean, we've seen such a shift in the way, you know, lives of this next generation are going that does any part of this kind of trigger could make sense, that you find actually the mate that you intellectually seem to be compatible with? Less likely for maybe divorce down the road?
I think it depends on the maturity level of the people involved
that,
as well,
yeah.
because I mean, I've known a lot of people that, you know, when I was in college, university, that just, they couldn't even be trusted on, you know, opening up a box of craft dinner, let alone finding a life partner. And I don't think at that stage of your life, and it's true, my wife and I, we had children later in life. I was 39 when my son was born, and I felt that it helped me out because I was able to get a lot of that goofiness and silliness and immaturity out of the way at an early stage, and I didn't have to kind of step up my game because there was a child involved, because we knew that at some point it was on the horizon, but it gave us a chance to get everything in our lives settled.
Cub, you're a smart man. You should have gone into Princeton. Interesting topics. Thanks so much. Yeah. Congratulations to our panel. You can find those articles in the Globe and Mail and also in the Ottawa Citizen today. Thanks so much for joining us, you guys.